This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
I guess it's true what they say. Time does fly when you're having fun. Here we are, end of March, and gathering once again for another Farm Monitor. So glad you tuned in. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. As always, we have a lot to cover this week. Coming up, go inside one of the top manufacturers in ag and see how modern technology is helping you, the consumer, save money in the long run. Also on the program, looking for a way to spruce up those deviled eggs this spring? Well, Marcia Crowley has not one, but 3 ideas that are sure to please.
And then later, he has traveled the country buying old antique tractors. One expert calling the collection extremely rare. But soon, it'll all be up for auction. These stories and so much more starting right now on the Farm Monitor.
While most farmers know all about the high-tech equipment that goes into their tractors, they may not know how much of it goes into the factories used to make them. Damon Jones profiles one company that is making the manufacturing more efficient than ever.
Robots, virtual reality, smart glasses. This is just some of the technology being used today to make factories so efficient, as manufacturing jobs have now become more advanced than ever. It's a far cry from the setting many people have pictured.
In the old days, manufacturing had a very bad reputation, being dark, dirty, dingy, dangerous. It's not the case anymore. If you see what we are doing here, you can do most everything by the push of a button.
Maybe nothing exemplifies the technological advances more than this portable smart robot that can be taught a number of different responsibilities in a matter of moments.
I can give him tasks with QR codes. The camera understands the QR code and the programmed task behind it, and therefore I can bring him to any space I prepare for the cobot, and the cobot will realize the difference and immediately start with the assigned work.
This provides workers with a pair of extra hands to perform any menial tasks anywhere in the factory.
Yeah, it makes us more efficient because we can concentrate our human workforce to do the things which are where creative work is necessary and intuitive work and tangible work is necessary, and let the cobots do the rest.
One of the staples for factory workers are safety glasses. However, these provide much more than just safety, as they also help with organization and quality assurance.
Wearable technologies means eyewear, so we have people that are wearing glass for work. They have work instructions that they get preloaded onto glass, or they have checklists for the quality inspection at the end of the line.
VR and simulations have also become vitally important in making big decisions on how to design workflow and training workers in a safe environment.
Simulation helps us run scenarios ahead of time before we go in and do any physical changes in the line. It helps us evaluate different scenarios, different setups in the line. For example, if I wanted to make my line bend this way, bend that way, go out the door, come back in. Different layout shapes and forms. We can do that virtually before we start to make any changes in the line. With the programming portion of it, it saves us a lot of time on having to manually program robots, so that will definitely help there. From the virtual reality itself, it will help you get the workers familiar with what the new area is going to be like, so there's definitely a training aspect to it.
With the manufacturing of farming equipment being so efficient, companies are able to pass along the savings to the customers. However, these lower prices don't mean companies are skimping on the quality.
The farmers expect state-of-the-art equipment with perfect quality, and that requires a lot of upfront planning, because once the product is out of the door, it's too late. You have to do that work before it hits the market.
Reporting from Duluth, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Thank you, Damon. Well, spring has officially sprung, and with this beautiful pollen-filled time of year comes planting season. But before you venture out into the fields, experts recommend inspecting your equipment. John Holcomb with how important it is to be prepared for the upcoming season before the upcoming season.
Let's face it, there's not much worse than being in the middle of something and then having to stop and fix your equipment. Believe me, been there, done that. So in order to try and help not make that happen, I recently traveled down to Tifton to talk with the UGA Extension Specialist about the importance of getting your planter and irrigation systems prepared for the upcoming season.
If we get out there and have a breakdown with this piece of equipment or have issues with this piece of equipment, it's really going to cripple us moving into the year. So if we have a bearing go out, we have a seed meter system fail, we notice that we have problems somewhere else in this system and we're going to take 2 or 3 days to get it fixed or time to get parts in, then we got to pull it back to shop to get it fixed. That's critical lost time.
And here in Georgia, time is very important as windows for planning are sometimes slim with our unpredictable shifts in weather.
I feel like we have extremely variable weather, very few good days to get planted, and so we're already kind of in a hurry.
For the planter, the things you really want to focus on are the depth and downforce settings and also the seed meter performance.
We want to make sure that our seed meters are actually singulating the way they're supposed to, they're dropping the correct number of seeds, that we're not pulling too many doubles in there, too many skips or misses in there. You have to have the proper downforce set to maintain that depth. If we have too light of a downforce and too hard of a soil type or too dry of a soil type, we're going to be at too shallow of a depth.
Perhaps the most important thing you want to make sure is running properly is your irrigation system.
It's very critical from an irrigated standpoint that we have this system up and running to par prior to going out to the field and planting and trying to irrigate the system, because if we try to turn on the irrigation system after we've got a crop in the ground and we determine at that point we've got kind of a bad failure, we're going to get behind on irrigation and could cause, major crop issues.
For those irrigation systems, you mainly want to focus on making sure that there are no leaks and that the nozzles are working properly.
So a lot of times we do see a lot of leaks on these systems, whether those leaks are occurring at the boots of the pivots, whether they're occurring at nozzles, sprinklers that have fallen off, been broken, or busted, etc. That's a very easy fix. To see those leaks right now, go ahead and get those fixed, because usually they'll translate to issues in yield in the field.
This may seem like a lot of extra steps, but it could save you a lot of time and possibly even a good bit of money later on into the season. And if you find it difficult to find time to do this before the season starts, doing it after is also a good option.
You'll know if you're having little problems with some of the parts in there, it's fresh on your mind. Go ahead and get those replaced at that time, get those service, maintenance, whatever else needs to be done. And then when we pull it out in the springtime, there's not as much to do, just some light greasing and stuff like that.
Some of this can be difficult and maybe even confusing if you're not familiar with it, but there's still hope.
I strongly encourage you, if you got any questions or you kind of have a second guess about what's going on with this piece of equipment, contact your local county extension agent and have them kind of do a look over with you and talk to you about checking the components. And of course you can always go back to your local dealer that you purchased the equipment from.
And for an extra resource, check out our website, farm-monitor.com, for a step-by-step checklist for both planters and irrigation systems. Reporting in Tifton for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Thank you, John. Up next, it's meals from the field and a delicious recipe to jazz up your deviled egg creations. And then later, the story of one man's passion for antique tractors, his amazing collection, and why he is putting all of it up for auction.
We really are looking for people who obviously have a passion for helping people, for getting out into their communities and serving others.
You have to have a servant's heart to kind of want to do this. And you want to make sure you're helping folks. Help them do the best that they can with their resources.
You have to be a people person. So you really have to have that passion for people and just really wanting to help.
I enjoy spending time with my farmers and the people in the community. They're not only your clientele, they're your friends.
And every day you feel like you're an important member of the community. People know who I am. Even though I've been here less than a year, they're like, that's the 4-H lady. And that's kind of a cool thing. You feel like you're actually making a difference.
Being able to work with people around your community, and it's a great way to know your community and get to know your community.
If you love people and you enjoy making a difference in your work, you are well suited for Extension.
It's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a career. It's a lot of camaraderie.
This is one of the best jobs in the world.
It's the best real job you can have. You've got to have a job where you have to go to work every day and have insurance and get a paycheck.
And there are a lot of opportunities to volunteer in Extension.
I would always recommend an internship because that's really what kind of inspired me and just made me realize how much I really wanted to work with Extension.
I think that if you are considering a job in Extension, you are making the right move.
There's nothing better than having someone come back into your office and say that recommendation you made helped out a lot.
If you're a people person, if you like to interact and always increase your knowledge on subject matter that is of interest to you, then Extension is a wonderful place to find not just a job but a passion, something that you can be passionate about and see a difference in the lives that you interact with.
The Farm Monitor continues, as does another episode of Meals from the Field and a little food for thought, and I mean that literally. Wicked chickens lay deviled eggs. That, my friends, is courtesy of my good friend, Marcia Crowley. Welcome back, as mentioned, everybody. Good to see you again, Marcia. Marcia Crowley, home economist, former home economist for the Georgia Department of Agriculture for over 30 years, exclusive contributor to the Georgia Farm Monitor, and of course, Auburn grad. So 2 out of 3 is not bad. No, 2 out of 3 is not bad. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We love
You don't have to tell everything you know.
We love all Auburn grads, absolutely. But yes, welcome back. As you can see, we're celebrating Easter a little bit early. It's Easter season. And spring. And
picnic season.
Right, picnic season. And what better food for Easter, spring? Deviled eggs. And we were putting our brain together. We've been doing this for over 5 years. We've never done eggs.
We've done an omelet before, but we've never done deviled eggs.
Never done deviled eggs. So that is what we are diving into today. So let's get started right away, Marcia.
Okay, well, if you Google how to boil an egg, how to hard cook an egg, there's at least 25 different ways.
Right.
All right, the way I've found the most success is you put the raw whole egg in a pot of cold water.
Okay.
Turn on your burner, and when it comes to a boil them for 10 minutes, turn it off and let them sit there for 10 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
That's the best way. And if you happen to overdo it, all you're going to get is a little green circle around the outside of the yolk, and that's perfectly fine. That's not harmful.
That's not harmful or
no, that's
toxic
not
or anything like that.
So, okay. Well, we're doing a deviled egg trio. So the basis of all 3 of these is egg yolks, Greek yogurt, and mayonnaise.
Greek yogurt?
Yeah, it kind of cuts the mayonnaise taste. And so the proportions will be on your website.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one we're going to add, this has already got a little hot sauce and Worcestershire in there. We're going to add to that some blue cheese, which is different. And these recipes come courtesy of Chef Holly with the Department of Ag. They're all originals. Okay. Mix that all together.
And we do want to mention fresh, locally grown eggs,
That's
of
right.
course. Or locally
Georgia eggs.
Georgia eggs, locally laid eggs, I guess you want to say.
All right, the next one is the same base, and we're gonna add tomato and bacon. Of course, salt and pepper to taste on all of these. This one I think was my favorite. How can you go wrong with bacon?
You realized every man out there just went, yes, bacon.
Yes, just the bacon. Okay, and then the third one is green onion and pimento cheese, which is very different, and this one was really good. And like I said, the proportions will be on your website. And then when you go to stuff these, you can either use a pastry bag and make them look really fancy. If you don't have a pastry bag, you can cut off the end of a Ziploc bag.
Okay.
But I just like to spoon it in there, personally. I don't know why, but I do. Then of course you would refrigerate these, obviously, till you're ready to use them. And you just stuff the little boogers.
Very nice.
And of course, if you don't like any of these flavors, you can use the traditional, which is just mayonnaise, egg yolk, a little bit of pickle, you know. So there's our wicked deviled eggs.
Wicked deviled eggs, and there you see the finished product. Very, very, very nice.
They're very good, let me tell you.
And then we go over to chicken.
Well, you can't, you know what I was thinking, we can't just do deviled eggs. So when I think of deviled eggs, I think of a picnic. fried chicken.
Sure.
So this is an oven fried chicken. And it's really good. I had my guinea pigs over this Sunday and they loved it, which is my neighbors. So, so this is melted butter and crushed garlic. This is just a piece of chicken. If I can get these.
Come on, you can do it.
There we go.
You go.
You're going to dip the chicken in the melted butter, coat it. These are really bad tongs, but then you're going to put this in a mixture of Parmesan cheese and Italian breadcrumbs.
All right.
That's all you do with that. And then you're going to bake this till it's done, internal temperature of 160, 165.
Okay.
So if you're using a whole cut up chicken, which is what the recipe calls for, it's going to take about an hour, hour and 15 minutes.
And if you need any meat thermometers, Marcia back here has
We've
a
got
jar of about
truckload.
50 of them.
A truckload.
I just noticed that earlier. You get about
Oh, yeah.
50 meat thermometers back there.
But they do make cooking a little easier
Sure.
as far as the timing, because with chicken, chances are you're going to overcook it.
Yeah.
That's a very common mistake. So you just bake this at 350, and that's it. And like I said, that was a hit along with the deviled eggs.
And once again, as always, we strive to be simple on this show. And you always make it simple. And folks, of course, if you would like to try these recipes yourself, you can do so by logging on to farm-monitor.com. All the recipes are on our website. Also, while you are there, flip on over to gfb.org, and once there, you can check out our Georgia Farm Bureau certified farm markets. They are all over the state. Lots of good, fresh, locally grown products there, and a lot of the recipes and a lot of the products we use on this episode obviously come from those certified farm markets.
That's what we try to do.
Yes, and we want to thank everybody. Marcia, as always,
Thank
good
you,
to
Ray.
see you, and thank you. And
See
we
you
will
next
see you
month.
again next month.
Ray, Marcia, thank you so much. Now, when we come back, meet an 88-year-old Waynesboro man whose incredible tractor collection will soon be up for auction. Why he's parting ways with it and what he would like to see from the new owners.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your eggplant or a cucumber. Nutrition that's right on track. Welcome to the competitive world of Lunchbox Derby racing, part of this 4-H meeting in Alamo. But no spark plugs or carburetors here. When it comes to these vehicles, if you can eat it, you can race it. John McGee had the fastest car.
It was a cucumber as the body with some orange wheels and the apples as some rims.
There's lessons here in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, an emphasis for 4-H. The car builders use measurements and calculations, all to get things moving.
I thought I could make it faster if it was smaller and it had less weight.
The whole notion of using edible vehicles to teach nutrition sends a great message to these 4-Hers. These kids have heard their whole lives not to play with their food. Well, now they get to break that rule big time. Before the racing starts, the kids build their derby cars. They use bamboo skewers, rubber bands, glue, and any fruit or vegetable they'd like. But some culinary combinations work better than others.
We've had big squash cars and little grape wheels or little kernels of corn. So we have to talk about the dynamics of how cars roll and how axles work. So they do have to do a little research before they build.
4-H agent Tanya Bain says the Lunchbox Derby racing encourages healthier eating.
And it's also a good way to introduce fruits and vegetables that perhaps they've not tried before, because they go to the grocery store with their parents and they're super excited to pick out what they think is going to be good for building their car. And a lot of kids have used foods they've not seen, turnips and radishes, star fruit and kiwi.
So if you're hungry for the need for speed, your racing machine may be as close as the grocery store, or hopefully already in your refrigerator. Science, nutrition, and fun. In 4-H, it's how we roll. This is Charles Denny reporting.
Finally today, doesn't matter the brand, John Deere, Case, AGCO. If antique tractors are your thing, then this next story is going to knock your socks off.
Yeah, Kenny, at the tender young age of 88, Waynesboro native Clifford Jones is a John Deere fanatic. He's been collecting them now for over half a century. But on April 28th, his entire collection, over 100 antique tractors and automobiles, along with other items, will all be put up for auction. A difficult and selfless decision, but one that was necessary, according to Clifford, who so graciously invited yours truly to spend the day with him and his tractors. Born in Georgia, raised on a farm, and the youngest of 9 children, Clifford Jones remembers vividly the first time he laid eyes on a tractor. It was without a doubt love at first sight.
4 or 5 years of age, before I started school, and a wealthy farmer across the road from us was the first tractor. He brought the first tractors in the community, and then my older brother was the first one that I knew of, other than that gentleman that had a tractor. And he bought a Model B on steel wheels in 1939. And of course I drove the tractors and right on up until I went off to war in 1950.
He just has a fire burning inside him, you know, deep inside. And I see it quite a bit. I've seen it with the tractors, definitely.
I've never seen, like I mentioned earlier, I'm born and raised 35 miles from here. Been there all my life. Known Mr. Clifford for many, many years, coming to our auctions, and never dreamed that this kind of collection was this close to me. And being in my business is what makes it even harder to believe. You know, I'm in the tractor business, the tractor selling business anyway. So to find out that there was a 100-piece collection of antique tractors 35 miles from my home was pretty remarkable.
Mr. Clifford says he bought his first tractor in 1968, and in the years since has traveled the country looking to add to his collection. His lovely wife Elizabeth tells me if Clifford wanted it, he'd buy it, and she was okay with that. Each tractor with a different story, and each tractor with a special meaning. But as he prepares to celebrate his 89th birthday, Mr. Clifford says it is time. Time to let the next generation of collectors own parts or all of his collection, and maybe someday share their story.
I'd like for somebody to have them that appreciate them and enjoy having them as much as I have, and take care of them, and maybe another 50 years pass them on to somebody else.
I mean, you're back in the 30s and you're all the way up into the 60s, and the tractors are all in excellent condition. You know, they've not. When we were washing some of these tractors, we had to pull some outside, and I had to ask Mr. Clifford. I said, Mr. Clifford, some of these tractors may have to spend the night outside. They had never spent a night outside. So, just the quality and the extensiveness of the collection, and the fact that it's pretty much everything from A to 830. You know, there's Model A's to 830 diesels, which is something you don't see in Georgia.
I was thinking some of these things I've had for more than 50 years, and they become kind of like family members after a while. And let's say, which one would you want to keep, or which one do you like, or which one would you give up? And my answer is that they're all like children. Which one of your children would you want to give up? So.
Amazing collection, not to mention an amazing couple as well. Miss Elizabeth, Mr. Clifford, cannot thank them enough for sharing their story with us. That auction, by the way, is set for Saturday, April 28th in Waynesboro, Georgia. For more information about it and to see more of the collection, log on to the address you see there on the screen. That is www.lanebrothersauctions.com. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
But first, a reminder for all the latest ag info here in Georgia, be sure to check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming, plus here on the show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor.
As always, have a great week.